What's going on, guys? Philip at Trade Genius. All right, we're going to talk about Ripple in this video. Not a pretty chart. You know, this thing's just been steadily going down. Any kind of spike in the price of XRP, we're looking at XRP BTC chart here, has just been met with more selling. So all the little pops have been sold. But we're going to talk about how, even though that's the case, we can still grind out money on this, either doing it in XRP USD and stacking more XRP if that's what you want to do because you're looking at the bigger picture, longer term horizon, or if you want to trade XRP against Bitcoin and ultimately make more Bitcoin out of it. So either way, there's ways to do both. So we're going to talk about how to identify when we can catch some of these breakouts. Now you'll see here, you know, this was a nice breakout of 180%, and or ultimately catch something like we saw back in the earlier days toward the end of 2017, like this 1800% spike in the price of XRP BTC. So we're going to talk about how to do that. We're also going to talk about some of these levels to watch out for on the downturn here. And one thing to note, guys, on XRP USD, this is a 4-hour chart. I think that's a good time frame to catch dips on XRP. But even though XRP has been in a major downtrend, when you zoom in, you can catch these mini uptrends that happen in XRP. And the moneymaker has been doing a good job of finding these entries. So if you're interested in this indicator or joining us in the room, head over to tradelikeagenius.com. Check out, we have the July 4th code. If you want the moneymaker, you just go up to software and click moneymaker. All right, guys, let's dive into this video and check this out.
Trade Genius.
All right, guys, so as we talked about, the XRP token of the Ripple network is really just in a major downtrend. And we're going to talk first about how to identify the breakouts in it. So what we want to do is flip over to a weekly chart. Okay, so weekly chart, as you can see here, we've got a series of trend lines. So, and this was discussed in our earlier XRP video we did a few weeks back. But essentially what you want to do is when we get into a prolonged downtrend on the weekly, what we want to do is we want to draw a trend line. And then what happens is when we get the breakout of that trend line, that's really the spot to go long. The longer these weekly trend lines are in place, the more powerful the move is out of them. So what you can do is you can draw the trend line on your own TradingView chart. You can actually right click on that and add an alert. Okay, and then it'll alert you when that's happening, so you don't have to be staring at the chart constantly. And depending on your TradingView package, you can have a pop-up alert, or you can actually get yourself an email or an alert on your phone, etc. So again, looking at the weeklies, notice here another weekly trend line and then a breakout there, boom. And these are where they start. So again, this is after a series of weeks, right? There was an attempt here, but that wasn't a very long downturn. These get more powerful the longer they go. So here's another one coming down. You can see where it's starting to get tested, and then you break it. This one wasn't an immediate breakout. We just broke through it. And then once this weekly candle top was breached, boom, another decent surge up. Same thing here. This weekly downtrend, beautiful. It was just hugging it the whole time, and then boom, breakout. And so now that takes us to our current situation, which is this current downtrend that we have. Now, we actually did try to get long here, and this really just wouldn't break out. So we actually, instead of this trend line being here, what we had was we were watching this breakout along this trend line here. Okay, so we had an attempted breakout. When this came back, essentially we stopped out at entry more or less. And I think we've had 2 or 3 tries on this and just nothing getting off the launch pad. The key here is not to fall in love with the position. If it doesn't work, move your stop to break even and get out, or have your stops fairly close for a small loss. And that way you're not, stuck here and now you're looking at dollar cost averaging here, because with the severity of this downtrend, you have to just assume that if these don't take off right away, like here, and you get a nice weekly breakout, then it's really not going anywhere. It's going to continue to roll over. So now that brings us to our current series of weekly red bars that continue to go down. So that's where we kind of go back now to, we draw a trend line over here like this. So I like to draw it like that because we've got multiple touches on that line. Okay, so that'll be one. But then also too, we've got another one that I will draw, because this trend line, I want to get a heads up that this possibly could be breaking, because what can happen is this, I think ultimately the large move comes off of breaking this trend line, which currently on this weekly bar is going to be about 45.90, and then the next weekly bar is going to be about 4,400 or so in that area. But I want to know when this next weekly downtrend is going to break, so I will put a trend line on that like so. And when that breaks, I want to get a heads up on that. And so that would be a potential area to get long. Then it's a matter of breaking through that area, but you might catch an early entry coming off this lower trend line. So you can mark that up on your own weekly charts just like that. So, we've had a Coinbase edition, which, XRP supporters were really hoping that that was going to be the catalyst for a big bounce. And that really didn't do anything. The Coinbase announcement came and went, and there really wasn't much in the way of price appreciation. Then more recently, last month, we had the announcement of the MoneyGram partnership. Again, I think that's, if you're into the XRP tech, that's the direction you'd like to see this going, and I think that's a strategic partnership. But again, the MoneyGram stock surged, but XRP really didn't see anything on the weekly that was really just stuck out. You're hoping you get something like this over here, and that didn't happen. So that news and that stuff that's happening with Coinbase and MoneyGram is good. I think that is the things that you have in place. Just like when Bitcoin was in a bear market, you had a lot of positive things as far as the infrastructure of it going. That's the same thing. Those things will happen in a bear market, but you're not getting the response you like. But once that stuff becomes the fuel for when this turns, because then people start looking at, okay, this is now making an uptrend. Oh yeah, it's on Coinbase. That's good. Oh yeah, they got the partnership with MoneyGram. This should go a lot higher. And then those things continue to feed into the trend up. So this is what you do. You look at this from a weekly standpoint, and then you can get notifications on when these key trend lines break out. All right, the next and final thing we're going to look at are the levels that are in play here on XRP. Okay, so again, weekly chart, we talked about these huge increases that you will tend to get in XRP. This will come again. This will happen. It's just the nature of the beast. But right now we're in a prolonged bear market. I mean, this looks a lot like what we saw here and what we saw here. And at the end of both of these runs, I mean, it just felt like the end was near. It was just, there was no light at the end of the tunnel. And then all of a sudden an explosion. And so that's why we key in on those weekly trend lines, because as you saw when those break out. But now we have to look at levels too. And so what I'm keying in on, we're currently resting on this level here. Now you have to also keep in mind the way and how we view alts in relation to Bitcoin. So, again, every time Bitcoin surges, it's going to be a negative effect even for Ripple. Okay, that's just the way that the alts work. Now, yes, in USD terms, they will go up, but they don't go up as much as if you were holding Bitcoin. So this is why the XRP BTC ratio is important to understand where it's really gaining. Like when it's doing this, you're gaining gains in BTC and USD. So you're outpacing Bitcoin's growth rate in dollar terms. That's the environment, and those are the moves you want to capture. This level here is a key level to support on. But if Bitcoin finishes its parabolic move that we've talked about in these other videos, and if you haven't seen that, just check out our couple past videos on that. But that'll probably bring this lower level into play at 2486. This is a key level on the weekly. And if you're wondering what that is in USD terms, you'll just have to, when it gets to that level, just check the USD price, because the ratios fluctuate a little bit. So when it gets down here, that's your key. You can set an alert for that level on XRP BTC terms, and then just know that where that's trading at in USD terms, that's an area of support you may want to take a stab at. These are just technical levels that if you are working orders to buy at, this is where you would trigger those orders at. If that level doesn't hold at 2493, or let's just call it 2500 or 2480, then what we have is this volume void here, and that could be just a quick spike down. And I think you have to, out of principle, get long XRP at 1230 in that area. Those are key low areas. There was a lot of basing off of this. You can see a huge volume node here, and this level is big time level to take a stab. I think just out of principle, you would just have to go long there and try to catch a bounce off that level. So those are the key levels I'm looking at right now. I think we are due, and this move is coming. I think it tried to base out here, and then Bitcoin surged higher, and this has rolled over since, and that's just been systemic of the entire alt market. But we are going to get, a lot of these long downtrends always do reverse, and they tend to reverse pretty hard. So there is a big time move coming for XRP. Just remember to keep an eye on those trend lines and watch these levels, and understand that if some of this next level or this level breaks down and the level here below breaks down, that's not the end of the world. It's just technical stuff, but you are going to get a large bounce out of this, and it's probably going to be a few 100%. And if the alt market season really gets going, then you could be looking at another 1,000+% appreciation from here. So keep your eyes on XRP. It's one of the more explosive ones as far as an altcoin play goes. Okay, guys, well, that's it for the XRP outlook. Again, make sure you monitor those weekly levels. Watch these key levels here. Again, that's 3,400 area, and then the 2,480 area, and then ultimately, I think you just have to go in at 1195 or 1,200 in that area, big time in terms of XRP BTC. And again, just check what the prices are in USD terms at those levels. You can set alerts on all these levels in TradingView, and I think that that's going to give you potentially exposure to a huge upside move, similar to what we saw in these last 3 big weekly breakouts. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Please hit like and subscribe, and I will see you on the next video. Take care. Bye-bye.
Trade Genius.